guys, welcome to Algebra 1/2, Lesson 30. Today we're talking about graphs, which I think are super fun. We're going to mostly be looking at, right now, bar graphs and line graphs. So graphs are basically using some kind of picture, a visual, to show information all in one place. So we use most commonly in the workplace line graphs, bar graphs, even pie charts, but we're not going to look at pie charts just right now. In a bar graph, if you take your book, open to page 87, we're going to be looking at this lesson 30 on page 87. We're going to look very much at these two graphs right here in the first part. So you want to follow along. A bar graph, that's that first graph. So you can use either vertical bars or you can use horizontal bars to show your information. It's up to you to use it however you want to. So both of these graphs, the bar graph and the broken line graph, they show the same information. They're showing the new car sales for those months. So in the first one, you see it's clearly labeled along the bottom, the months, each month, and then along the side, you see how many cars were sold each month. Now, you have to pay very careful attention to the scale. Your scale here is in hundreds, but there's also a line in between each hundred. So that would be half of 100. So the very first line that's not labeled with a number would be 50. Then you have 100. Then in between the 100 and 200 is 150. Then 200. Then 250. Then 300. The line above that, 350. And that gives you an idea of the information. Now you have to keep in mind that with a graph, your information is not usually exact, okay? It's not going to be exactly the number. It's going to be an estimation. It's going to be around that number. So if you look at your graphs, we're going to use that, for example, 30.1. It says in the graphs above, how many more cars were sold in April than were sold in January? Well, you could look at either graph, the bar graph or the line graph. If you look at April, where does it go? Where is that point? If you look at your line graph, you're going to look at the dot on the graph. If you look at your bar graph, how far up does the bar go? It goes to 350. So in April, 350 cars were sold. It says how many more were sold in April than in January? Well, if you look at January, it looks like that only goes up to the 50 mark. So January only had 50 cars be sold. So to tell how many more, I have to subtract 350 minus 50. What's 350 minus 50? 300. So 300 more cars were sold in April than in January. So a graph gives you a nice visual way to look at information quickly, like that. Turn the page. It says example 30.2 on page 88. The highest temperatures recorded during the week were as follows. Monday, 86 degrees. Tuesday, 80 degrees. Wednesday, 75 degrees. Thursday, 82 degrees. Friday, 88 degrees. Saturday, 74 degrees. And Sunday, 84 degrees. Make a bar graph and a broken line graph that present this information. We're only going to make one graph right now because of time and space, but I want to give you the idea of the parts of the graph. So you want to draw your graph, and I'm deciding to put my scale, my number scale, along the side here. So everything is going to go up or down, whether it's a line graph or whether it's a bar graph. So my days are here on the side, or excuse me, here on the bottom. I have my days. I'm going to put my degrees, my numbers, here on the side. And graphs should have a title. So let's see, I'm going to make this, the title of this graph, Average Temperatures. Your title should be something that makes sense, that shows what your graph is presenting. Okay? Now for my scale, I haven't written it on pre-written it because I want to talk to you about what you use for your scale. If you look at the temperatures, you're probably wondering, well, where do I start? What should I put? When you have your numbers are kind of close together, you don't need to start at 0 and show the whole thing. That's not necessary. You can kind of zoom in on the numbers that you want to focus on. I have numbers that are between 70 and 100. So that's the scale I'm going to start with, numbers between 70 and 100. I don't want my scale to be broken up by 3s or by 7s or by 4s. That's not really an efficient way to count my scale. I should count it by 2s or by powers of 10. So I'm going to count this by 10s. And I'm going to start with 70 here at the bottom, 70 degrees. Then the next 10 is 80 degrees. The next 10 is 90 degrees. And 100 degrees. So that's my scale. I don't want to do 73, 76. No. That's silly, okay? I don't want to do 73, 83, or even anything like that, okay? I want to keep my numbers in a power of 10, something that makes sense, okay? So now, excuse me, now I'm going to plot my points. So on Monday, the temperature was 86. So that would be somewhere between, a little closer towards 90, but somewhere in the middle there would be 86, okay? On Tuesday, it was 80. Well, so that's going to be right on the line. On Wednesday, it was 75. So that's right in between the 80 and the 70. On Thursday, it was 82. So a little above the 80. On Friday, it was 88. So that's getting close to the 90 mark. On Saturday, it was 74. So maybe just a teeny bit lower than Wednesday. And on Sunday, it was 84. So that would be right about there. So that's how I've started by plotting my points. Now I can make this either a line graph by connecting these, use a ruler and connect these lines, or I can make it a bar graph. Right now I'm going to make mine a bar graph. So I'm going to, normally I would use a ruler to make it straight, but for time's sake I'm just going to draw it up. Up to my point. And this is showing the information that I have. So I just draw my bars up to my points. Moving all the way up. There we go. Okay? And that's an example of creating a bar graph. Okay, I want you guys to create a line graph. I know that it's not in your practice problem, but I'm making that your second practice problem is to create the line graph and then check it with the example on this page. So I should see that in your photos of your work for today. All right, in your practice it says, in this graph, what was the average number of type B cars sold in the 3-year period? So I want you to look carefully at this graph. It shows 1960, there were 3 types of cars, A, B, and C. In 1970, A, B, and C again, and in 1980, A, B, and C. You want to average the number of type B cars. So that's the bar in black. So you want to average the number of cars sold in 1960, the number of B cars in 1970, and the number of B cars in 1980. But before you start, notice what it says about the scale. It says car sales in thousands. So where it says 20, that doesn't mean 20 cars. That actually means 20,000 cars. Okay, so that's what it means by car sales in thousands, 20,000 cars. Okay, so go ahead and average that out right now and then come back in a second. Okay, what did you get? It should have been 30,000 cars. Let me know if you struggled with that, if you need any help, but you should have gotten 30,000 cars for your average. Don't forget to do the line graph from example 30.2 along with that for your practice, and then get started with your problem set. Let me know if you have any questions.